The biggest immigration raid in U.S. history just happened. Nearly 500 workers were detained. Diplomatic tensions exploding. And now, USCIS officers are being armed with guns and arrest powers. Green cards, visas, even citizenship are all at risk under these changes. This is Immiscope, your trusted source for U.S. immigration news, policy changes, and visa updates. September 2025 has brought a wave of stunning immigration developments. We've seen ICE raid a Hyundai, LG factory in Georgia. USCIS granted new enforcement powers. Courts striking down parts of Trump's policies. And fresh debates over H-1B visas and asylum protections. If you're an immigrant, visa holder, or green card applicant, these aren't just headlines. They could shape your future in America. That's why in today's update, we'll break it all down. What changed, who it affects, the risks, and the opportunities you need to know right now. Core issue, the Hyundai plant raid. On September 4th, ICE carried out the largest single-site raid in U.S. history at a Hyundai, LG EV plant in Asylum, Georgia. Around 475 workers were detained in a single day. Many were South Korean nationals brought in for specialized work. The fallout was immediate. South Korea negotiated the return of over 300 citizens. But the raid strained U.S. Korea relations and raised global alarms about foreign investment in America. President Trump defended the raid, urging companies to respect U.S. laws and hire more Americans. This wasn't just about one factory. It was a message: corporate raids are back, and no industry is safe. Who it affects. The direct impact hits temporary foreign workers. Many of whom entered legally but may have fallen out of compliance due to paperwork or visa technicalities. But the ripple effect is far broader. Employers may face investigations and penalties if found hiring workers without valid authorization. Legal visa holders could face higher scrutiny during site inspections or workplace audits. Communities dependent on immigrant workers may see sudden labor shortages. For example, imagine being an H-1B engineer at a major tech plant. Even with valid paperwork, a raid could mean hours of questioning, document checks, and fear of being lumped in with violators. How enforcement works now. This raid wasn't isolated. ICE has launched Patriot 2.0 in Boston, targeting sanctuary cities. And Washington just approved $45 billion to reopen detention centers in Texas, Kansas, and Georgia. Facilities previously closed after abuse scandals. The goal is clear: create capacity for mass deportations. The administration is aiming for 1 million deportations per year. So far, removals are closer to 200,000. But with this infrastructure, the machinery for large-scale enforcement is now in motion. Risks and consequences. For immigrants, the risks are growing. Green card applicants may face home or workplace visits under tougher fraud detection programs. Visa workers risk being caught in raids even if fully compliant, creating fear and disruption. Families could be separated if one member is detained for minor paperwork issues. One scenario already unfolding: a legal permanent resident in Georgia reported that her spouse, working at the plant, was swept up in the raid despite valid documents. Hours later, he was released, but the family spent the day fearing deportation. The message is clear: mistakes happen, and being legal doesn't guarantee safety from enforcement actions. Legal backlash: courts strike back. While enforcement escalates, the courts are pushing back. Judges have recently blocked several aggressive policies, including attempts to apply the Alien Enemies Act, efforts to redefine birthright citizenship, restrictions on temporary protected status, TPS, fast-track deportations without hearings. This judicial resistance shows that checks and balances remain in place. But for immigrants, it means living in constant uncertainty. Rules are announced, then struck down, then reappearing in new forms. USCIS agents with arrest powers. Perhaps the most surprising shift is inside USCIS itself. Traditionally known for paperwork and adjudications, USCIS now has the authority to train special armed agents. These officers, classified as 1811 investigators, can carry firearms, Execute search warrants. Make arrests of applicants, lawyers, or others tied to immigration fraud. This is a massive cultural change. Previously, your USCIS officer was a bureaucrat checking forms. Now, that same agency can send armed investigators to your door. For applicants, it means interviews and site visits carry far higher stakes than before. The citizenship test gets tougher. USCIS is also preparing to tighten the naturalization test. Plans include reviving the more difficult 2020 civics test and adding an essay writing requirement. That means more subjective grading and greater risk of denial. For green card holders considering naturalization, the timing matters. Applying now, before the new test launches, could avoid unnecessary hurdles. Real-life example, Maria, a green card holder from Mexico, has been studying for the current exam. If she waits too long, she may need to prepare for an entirely different test, risking a failed attempt and months of delays. Asylum rights rolled back. Attorney General Pam Bondi has reversed protections for women fleeing domestic violence. Under Biden, abuse victims could claim asylum on the basis of gender-based harm. Now, that pathway has been narrowed. This rollback may seem distant for viewers not seeking asylum. But it signals a broader trend, narrowing humanitarian protections across the board. H-1B visas under fire. At a conservative summit, Senator Eric Schmidt attacked the H-1B visa program. He called foreign workers cheaper and more compliant, fueling arguments that skilled immigration undermines U.S. jobs. This rhetoric increases pressure to cap or cut back on H-1B visas. For international students and professionals, the message is chilling: your future may hinge not just on skill, but on shifting political winds. Economic impact: a shrinking population. Despite ambitious deportation targets, the U.S. is on track for only 200,000 removals this year. Analysts warn that if mass deportations accelerate, the U.S. could face its first-ever population decline. Why does this matter? Because immigration drives growth. Agriculture, construction, and healthcare all rely heavily on immigrant labor. Without it, costs could surge, labor shortages could worsen, and the economy could stumble. In short, immigration isn't just about policy, it's about America's future workforce. Possible benefits/opportunities. Not every change is bad news. Some see opportunities. Stricter enforcement may push employers to sponsor more workers through legal channels. A tougher citizenship test could give successful applicants more credibility. Court challenges show the legal system still acts as a shield against overreach. But these silver linings don't erase the risks. They only highlight the need to stay prepared. Real-life scenarios. Picture this: a green card applicant attends an interview at USCIS. The officer now has enforcement training, spotting minor discrepancies as potential fraud. That applicant could face delays, or worse, a fraud investigation. Or an H-1B worker whose employer mishandles paperwork. Even if the worker did everything right, a raid could mean detention until documents are verified. These aren't hypotheticals, they're warnings of how policy changes affect ordinary lives. Tips and warnings. If you're navigating the system right now, apply early. Citizenship and green card processes may only get tougher. Keep documentation updated, even minor errors can trigger enforcement issues. Stay informed, policy changes are happening monthly, sometimes weekly. Seek legal advice, don't rely on rumors, get professional guidance. The U.S. immigration system is shifting rapidly. From mass raids and armed USCIS agents to a harder citizenship test and shrinking asylum protections. Every immigrant pathway is being reshaped. The risks are real, but knowledge is power. By staying alert, you can protect your status and make informed decisions. If you liked this video, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and turn on the bell icon for future updates. Thanks for watching Immiscope. See you in the next video.